Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about why I think certifications are useful. This is actually just going to be more of like an extension of the blog post that I wrote on the ACG blog. So if you'd rather check that out, I'm going to link that in the description. With that being said, hi, welcome to another video. I'm GPS, and let's get right into it. Also, say hello to my dog. Alright, so this is the study setup that I use whenever I'm learning really anything. I'll have my study material, so I'll go into a little bit as to what I have here on the left side in a second. But let me go over to the side first. I'll have my notes up here, and I just use Markdown. I used to use Notion, but now that I'm moving my workflow over to open source software, I'm just using Markdown and GitHub to keep track of my notes. So that stays up there on the top right. And then here I'll have either like SSH'd into my VM that I'm working on, or maybe I'll have the some Azure CLI commands that I'm running here. Whatever it is that I'm studying, that's the hands-on portion, will be down here. And then again, back to this side on the left side, I'll have my actual study material. And this is my first tip for y'all. Find material that works for you. You can see I have this book open, which is Linux Basic for Hackers. I talked about this book in my previous video. And then I also have this course, Python 3 Scripting for Sysadmins, and this is on the A-Cloud Guru platform. Alright, so right off the bat, I'm the first one to tell you from personal experience that certifications have been beneficial for my career. Because I got AWS certified back a couple of years ago, I landed an interview, which led to a job, which led to a cloud engineer promotion. And most recently, I took another certification at the beginning of this year, Linux Essentials, and that's led me to just really enjoying this Linux world and open source world and creating more content around that. And that's been fantastic as well. On LinkedIn, on Twitter, it's easy to find people who bash certifications, who think they are a waste of time. I guess that's a fine opinion to have. There's also people who love them and are obsessed with collecting all the badges and such. And I guess that's also an okay opinion to have. Frankly, my way of learning and my way of living doesn't fit either of those models. I'm somewhere more in between, and I know when to study for a certification and when to kind of just wander off on my own way and figure things out. Now, for me, I kind of have like this framework that I apply to each lesson to whatever I'm learning, but I'm just going to use it in the context of studying for certifications. I actually wrote about this on the ACG blog. Go check that out. And if you enjoyed it, could you share it, please, and tag me? Alright, anyway, so it's kind of like the 7-step thing. I like to call it my don't use study material like a Netflix show checklist. First, I'll watch any lesson or read whatever chapter. I'll highlight any concepts that I don't understand. Second, I will go through that list of concepts that I didn't understand and look them up. This is a great time for me to visit official documentation because, knowing how to use documentation and how to, find what you're looking for is a good skill set to have. 3, I'll watch the course, the video, the lesson, the individual lesson, or I'll read the chapter again. But now, since I have this new understanding of the concepts that I didn't know in the first place, things start to click, and it's a pretty magical feeling. Step 4 is to just do any on-screen demos that they're doing. If they're running through some sort of example or exercise, deploying a service, to the best of my ability, I'll do that on my own. Sometimes I get there, sometimes I don't, but it's additional hands-on. And especially since, for example, now I'm learning Linux and I'm not doing too much hands-on with that kind of stuff at work. Any, extra help or ways that I can get hands-on, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. So 5 is just to write notes, bullet points, just stuff that I can reference to, and stuff that kind of keeps me on track, because when I stop studying and I resume the next day or the day after, whatever it is, I know where to pick up, and I kind of, it serves as like a refresher for myself. After that, I'm going to do any live labs or any exercises or any bonus points or anything that they have assigned. Sometimes at the end of a chapter, they'll have like bonus points, implement this, or like the course that I'm using on A-Cloud Guru has labs that I could use and I could do as well, and I'll do those. So yeah, that's the step 6. And the last step is the most important one for me, and this might be optional for yourself, but again, I'm here just talking about what works for me, and it's synthesizing my learning online. I'll turn my notes into a YouTube video or to a blog post, or, I'll find ways to share the knowledge online. And this really helps because I'm taking my notes and turning it into like a cohesive piece of content. So it builds my technical portfolio, but it also might help someone else out. And that's the reality is you might not look at yourself as a teacher, but you really never know who you're going to be able to help. So that's kind of my mindset. I just put it out there. And yeah, those are like the steps that I take for each individual lesson. And you might be thinking, wow, this might take you forever to learn something if you do all these things. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Studying for my first AWS cert took me like 6 months, I believe. And then studying for the Linux one, I would say started back in December, so about 3 months or so. But it's worth it, you know? I'm building hands-on things that I can put on my GitHub, and I'm building my technical content portfolios, and I'm, you know, researching and looking things up in the documentation, and yeah, it's worth it, and it's been quite beneficial for me. I also know when to take breaks or when to explore other things, right? It's not always for me like I just have to learn a certification. I could go and pick up something else. Like with Linux, it's super easy to want to go out and just try all these open source projects that are fun, well documented, and that's what I've been doing, like building modules for my Magic Mirror, or building a NAS, or deploying a Ghost blog on an Ubuntu server, or finding open source alternatives to all the programs that I've been used to using, and it's been great. I'm still studying for my next Linux cert, which is the Linux Foundation Certified System Administrator, but I'm taking my time. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm not forcing myself to do anything. Again, I know that's because of where I am in my career, and it might be different for you. You might have to take a cert right away or whatever it is. But yeah, this is what works for me. One thing I will say is there's not one course out there that will 100% answer everything that you want it to answer you, and it won't teach you everything. But this is a good thing. You got to look at it in the way of like, it'll get you half of the way there to some extent. Obviously, there are material that are terrible. Like, all exam dumps are absolutely terrible and you shouldn't use. But the majority of content does teach you something. And it's up to you if it works for you or not, right? We all have different ways of learning, and that's why it's also hard for me to recommend any study material to anybody, because what works for me may not work for you. As long as it enables us to learn, and back to myself, as long as it enables me to get like some momentum, I can try to fill in the gaps and, you know, go and search for things that I don't understand. And this is quite powerful, because oftentimes you'll be on a team that they're open to helping, they're open to questions, but, you know, I've also been on teams that aren't quite as open, and it sucks, but it's the reality. So learning how to figure things out for myself has been it's been great, and I think courses in study material do that, because none of them get you all the way there. But anyway, yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.